Welcome, audience, to a series on careers. This time we'll be talking to a developer, and this will be a series on the web and every type of career utilized for creating websites and what advanced website design really looks like. Please enjoy. So, graphic designers, in my opinion, they're very pedantic, they are very finicky, and they basically made hipster glasses a necessity for any millennial. If you're approaching websites and you're a graphic designer, what would you say is the recommended things you look for in designing for a website, in terms of either skills they might need, and the software they might need to be able to use?
They are, I think, let me start by saying that they're an essential part of web development. I've always felt that, you can get a pure developer to build a website, but graphic designers really take it to that next level. They really can take something that's kind of set together and make it really beautiful, really attractive. I think that nature of being pedantic and finicky with things really does come through in their work, and it can really change the view or perspective of a website or anything that's designed, really. Graphic designers, if you are a graphic designer and you're looking to build for the web, you just have to view things differently as you would normally view print media. So when it comes to designing for the web, you have to keep in mind that there's multiple devices.
Because of every website needs to be dynamic in that sense. It needs to be able to swap between devices.
Correct, yeah, which is then a little bit different to print. You also have to design in such a way that, again, it's dynamic, where you would scroll through things. It's not, you don't see everything in one view. It's like looking at a billboard, picking up a book or a poster or a magazine. You different elements are in the view at different times. And I think the other thing that which is probably a bit frustrating for designers, and that we've seen the ones we worked with, is, as amazing as people tell you the web is, it's actually very restrictive.
You can't really translate matte to glossy, or different shades of a color necessarily in a practical way, because you're also just limited to the web safe colors.
And also, like, a lot of your blends and things like that you can do in Photoshop with print, you just can't quite get right. A lot of the masks and things like that. So there's just things that you can do that the web is getting there. They keep adding new things to help, but I mean, you're very limited with what you can do with shadows. And so from a practical point of view, you kind of have to realize that there's some things that you're restricted by.
Being creative in that sense is literally looking at the problems, looking at the limitations, and figuring out the solutions to your current problems, which is having a limited artist's palette, so to speak. What are the platforms and software that you would need to be able to use to be a designer for the web?
Photoshop used to be a good thing to use, and you can still use it to do photo editing, but for the web, Illustrator has really come as the main bit of software for designers. There are a few others, but Illustrator is the king, because it's vector-based.
True.
You're going to lose any image data, no matter how big or small you make it. And then, with that, what you can do these days with programs, with a lot of Adobe suites, with Adobe Suite and a few others, is you can actually export that straight to a web page. You get a little basic page up. You can push that to that new Adobe Spark and some of the things like that. What we use is we look at the AI files and we then convert those to HTML. They've kind of built new software to be able to work with that and to help designers to move across. I also just spend a lot of time looking, going on sites, looking at websites that win designs, that win awards, look at them, go see what they look like. There's actually a yearly series that gets put out of like winning websites, and you can go and look at those and see what's kind of the new trends. The trends have kind of stabilized in the last couple of years. It's got a bit boring, I'll be honest.
Well, a lot of things have come to a standstill because of other certain factors. I wouldn't say it's because of a downturn in actual trends, but I do think that trends might have become stale out of the peak of a retroactive using of previous design elements in and refreshing those elements. Nobody is really impressed by something from the 90s, except if you're really trying to be funny, or nobody's really impressed by blocky things anymore, except if you're really trying to pay homage to Bauhaus or some simplistic design. And most of the time it's rare that combining a lot of styles yields elegant results.
It takes time to make something truly creative and unique. And as much as we want to be meticulous and pedantic about things, we're always going against the clock. You have to make the sell, you have to land the project and get it delivered so you can get paid, which is always the bottom line. So I think it's a good thing to do some of the kind of websites over and over again. By the time you get your 10th one, you'll be quite good at it, and you'll be able to understand kind of the process of it. And then from there you can go out. A really good book, talking about learning new things and how they follow the way of kind of Japanese samurai teachers. So my advice to graphic designers is don't fear that. Don't fear doing a couple of kind of boring ones until you get the hang of it. You don't have to be super creative from the start. I know you want to be, but that come with time.
Another one point I want to make, and I did share it, Dan Harmon, creator of Community and Rick and Morty. He likened creativity to it not being a revelatory process. If you do liken it to that, being such an epiphany moment of creativity, it'll almost certainly always be a chore for you to get to that point.
I hear that.
And that's a bad mindset to have, whereas seeing creativity as a natural process that needs to happen when the idea comes and letting that pass is a better way to stay creative than not. And letting the naturalness of creativity unfold as it may is kind of the best advice I've ever gotten on around creativity. And like you said, it shouldn't be rushed. It should come when you're inspired, but it shouldn't be overdone. It should have its challenges. Don't think of having a limited scope of what you can do as a bad thing in the case of a designer. And I think we've finally reached a point where people realize minimalism has a real definite place in your experience with things and your time spent on something. And it's almost like a blank canvas for your own thoughts, inadvertently allowing you to stay in one place more often, because it's not overstimulating, because it's not somebody else's opinion, it's only your thoughts, even though it's just white space or negative space being used.
When designing, think about what the final product is going to be used for, who the target audience is. Think of all those elements. Why are you designing it in that way? And look at some of the designs for that have happened in the past, and then take elements that you like and leave elements that you don't like. then yeah, I mean, wireframing is very good to learn. But again, I think that comes from working with someone that's kind of done a bit, worked with it before. Do read tutorials, read how people have done it before. Just do the research on it. As much as you can about the trade, about doing websites, and don't be scared, because I think it can be intimidating, but it really shouldn't be. So just a little bit of our history. We used to use a program called Jira. Like it's got all these kind of really dev setups and terms, and our designers struggled with it. We then switched to a system, another platform called Asana for task tracking. And what we found was the designers really worked well and fell in love with it, and the devs adjusted really well too. So it actually ended up boosting the whole work environment, because we weren't put off, and the designers weren't put off by trying to log their tasks or check like how to do things, or so even simple stuff like that can really help. Like the communication will really help.
Apart from Illustrator being the most bread and butter of most designers, can you give me in a very quick list, what would you say is the perfect environment for a designer to design in, according to you?
Okay, well, I suppose every designer would want a big iMac, like a 27-inch iMac, with the full Adobe Master Collection or Design Suite. So that includes Photoshop, Illustrator, Dreamweaver, probably Spark, Adobe PDF, and a few others. So they would want that.
And physical environment?
It depends. Comfortable chairs. A lot of designers I've known like high back, comfortable office chairs and footrests. It's a thing. And I suppose maybe a quiet space, perhaps, or headphones, just to kind of zone out. A clear brief is always good to have.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, it's the little things. And yeah, a PC that responds. I said the iMac, but having SSD in there is just something that can, when you click a button, that it doesn't crash. A UPS attached to that iMac, so that when the power goes out, you don't lose 2 hours of work. We've had that before.
Welcome to, I guess, South Africa and the world, and I guess everything close to a coffee machine.
Designers are also quite social people, I found. I know, like, it seems strange, but they will want someone to like bounce things off, talk to. Not everyone. I mean, some people are introverts. So not introverts. Some people are more like to be themselves, but like a lot of people are quite social, and so yeah, a good social environment.
So simple tools that enable you to minimize the amount of time you spend on workflow, where there is a lot of integration with common file types, common practices, and language that the program is using, that makes everything easy to interact with. Basically, that simplifies the whole process of getting your tasks done, and getting tasks ticked off at the end of the day.
Definitely, yeah. And like I said, I think that's also why the brief and good communication, good feedback is important. You want to spend much of your time designing and doing the right direction. And the last thing a designer wants is to design the whole thing and then get told, sorry, this isn't what the brief asked. You're off track, when they just didn't get a clear cut instruction from the start. That can be really disheartening. So stuff like that, the rest you can kind of learn and you'll get better at things. But if you kind of get hamstrung from the get-go, it can really be it can be disheartening. And
well, for more than just the designer in itself, because the designer at the end of the day is the person who
does most of the work first. And
Yeah.
if they're disheartened, it kind of it ripples across the whole team.
If you have happy people working for you and happy designers, they want to keep on doing it, they want to keep on pushing themselves and getting better. So yeah, try and create that environment, try and make sure that they can always talk to you as a manager, that that they feel that they're in the best place to do their work. If you are trying to save money by not giving your team the right equipment to do their job effectively, then it's not the right way to do it. You give them what they need to be able to do their work. It's like one-off costs, and it will help you a lot for a very long time. The return on investment on good hardware is fantastic. It can change a person's day, so change a person's life.
To support me and the making of these videos, please consider subscribing and liking these videos. They mean a whole lot to me if I can make these videos, and it means so much more if you would like and subscribe. Thank you.